So navigation. I'm going to go through a couple of different types in this video. I'm just going to refresh that page. I made this little course here, some animation on there. It's a few pages long, and if I want to go from one page to the next, there's a couple of different ways I can do that. So this one here, I've got a button here, but it's actually a link, and when I click on that, it takes me to part one. You can see here I've added some background image in there. I make it look like some, I guess a 90s, early 2000s investigative movie. What's called hidden in plain sight, hence the logo up here. Telling you a little bit about the course itself, your high stakes financial investigation, civil line investments. You're going to investigate possible fraud. So it's be more of a narrative driven course, unusual patterns, maybe some branching scenarios that help you question members, put together some Polaroids about the key players, tells you a little bit about them here. Also, this would be badge based, some intrinsic motivators. So this tells us a little bit about what those badges give us, and the levels you would go through to get that. And then obviously another link button here, which would take us to the incident, and that would then pop up. And I haven't done any more than that. This was just to show how these things could work. So this is just a link button in here. So if I hop across to my editor, in the intro screen, I have added a component, and it's a links component. And now we can just add components quite easily with this part here, search components, and if this was empty, if I made another block there, I could just click on more also, but I'm just going to get rid of that because I've already made the links component. So inside the settings for the links component, I have an item, and I can add an item like this, but I've already added that item, so I'm just going to delete that away. And if I go into there, the title, I've put as part one, because that's what I want to see in my intro page. So that's where that comes from. If I put extra information there, like the players, then you would see that as well. So that's where that comes from. I'm just going to leave that as part one for now. I'm not going to put anything in the body. I don't want it to be a body. I want it's an internal link, and it's going to take me. I can choose the articles, blocks, components, and all sorts of things, but I want to go to the next page. So I'm just going to put the page, and the link target is part one, because that's going to take me to part one. And lastly, I want to display it as a button. If not, then it doesn't look like a button. It looks like this. I don't want that. I don't like that. I like a button better. I've got this at center. If I put it to left, then it'll be left justified. But I want it to be in the center, so I've added it as a center. And I can bring it there. So that's one way of creating navigation between pages. To use a links button. You could potentially use an action button as well. But yeah, links button allows me to that. The theming for that, I've put it in a different article style because I wanted the padding to be different up here. So in the begin, I put it in the begin button, and I can change the settings of it in here, the styling of it in the begin button. So I don't have a color. Just when I hover over it, I want it to be white. And the padding, that's the space around the text here, I've styled here. So if I change that to say 20, then if we go to the button, give it a second, it will pop up, hopefully. There we go. But I don't want it to be there. I'm going to leave it at 10. So that's how I can style my link button. And again, if I didn't have a different article style for that, actually, let's go to begin button here. If I had no article style, then I could just change the style of it within the normal theme and button. That's where I would change it. But I've got a style on it, so I've done that. So that's one way of creating navigation between your pages, is to use a links button. So let's have a look at some other ones. So we've had a look at a links button, but what if I don't want to do that? What if I do something different? So I am going to disable that so you can't see it. And I'm going to come into my course settings. I'm going to go to navigation, I'm going to go to footer navigation, and I'm going to enable footer navigation. So what that does is that brings in footer navigation. So I will be able to navigate between pages by doing that. It says part 1, the players here, because in my part 1 page, in the display title, I've got part 1, the players, and that shows that. If you don't want that, if you want to say next and previous instead, then you can go to navigation, footer navigation. You can put anything you want in there, but disable title button text, and if I do that, then it will change it to next. And again, I can change this to whatever I want. And I'm going to leave that on there like that because I want it to show the names of the titles of that. I can also, at the minute, it shows me this is 1 of 5, so there's 5 pages in here. But if I click on Show Home button, that adds this little house button in here, so I'll be able to come back to there whenever I wanted. So that's also quite useful for getting to different pages. So I can come to navigate between our pages with that footer navigation. The styling of that you can find in the theme. We can go to footer navigation here, and we can add icons and things like that. Right. So the minute it's an arrow, I could change that if I wanted. And if you've got locked things, then you'll see a little padlock. That's the background color, which I have as black. You can see here. Obviously, I would disable that as well if I was going through this. I've got some border on it. You've got the link text colors, the color and the hover. The counter, again, you can change the font and all the sizes. So all the styling for the footer icon, the footer navigation would be in the theme there. And I can navigate between pages that way. And if I click on home, it takes me back to the first screen. If I've disabled the menu in this course, but if I hadn't, then that would, I've disabled the menu in here, but if I didn't have a menu, then that home button would take me back to the menu, but it's taking me back to the first page here. So that's another way of going between pages. So one other way you can have learners navigate between pages is with this little burger menu here. That is an extension in Evolve. So if I go into my little jigsaw piece here, I've got extensions. You can see I have got content locking on, which I'm not going to cover today, but I've also got course navigation. If I click on that and go to appearance, the default navigation button is something different, but I like to put the hamburger menu one on there so it works well with the UI and the UX. And I move it from left to right. I don't like it like on the left, so I put it on the right, and then that brings in my pages here, and I can navigate between the pages that way as well if I wanted to. That can be a good way, probably an addition to the buttons or the footer navigation rather than not them at all. So it can be a good addition and a nice easy way for a learner to move back and forward without having to scroll to the bottom of a page if you want. And the styling of that is in the theme, in the navigation, further down the page here. So navigation side background color. And that's what gives you that color. If I change the color of that, and we get the red. So that's where you can change those colors. If you wish, I'm going to leave it at black. So those are some different ways that you can help your learners navigate through your learning. Try them out, see what you think.